One of the greatest cities in the world, New York is always a whirlwind of activity, with famous sights at every turn and never enough time to see them all. Some people come here to enjoy the Broadway shows, others come specifically to shop and dine, and many come simply to see the sights such as the Statue of Liberty, Empire State Building, Brooklyn Bridge, Central Park, historic neighborhoods, and numerous world-famous museums. New York is so big and so diverse a place that you could live here 4 lifetimes and not experience all the amazing things the city has to offer. Even figuring out where to start your NYC trip is a daunting task. But we want to help you cut down the impossibly long list of ways to spend your day. Today we are presenting you the most essential places to visit in New York City. 1. Statue of Liberty. The Statue of Liberty was France's gift to America. Built in 1886, it remains a famous world symbol of freedom and one of the greatest American icons. It is one of the world's largest statues, standing just under 152 feet tall from the base to the torch and weighing approximately 450,000 pounds. In 2019, 4.2 million tourists visited Liberty Island, the 14-acre swath of land 1 mile south of Lower Manhattan, where the Statue of Liberty rests. While there is no fee to visit Liberty Island, you do have to pay for a round-trip ferry ride via Statue Cruises. The ferry also stops on Ellis Island, part of the national park, which houses the Ellis Island National Museum of Immigration, where visitors can search ship manifests for the records of their relatives. 2. Central Park. A walk, pedal, or carriage ride through the crisscrossing pathways of Central Park is a must-do on anyone's New York City itinerary. 693 acres of man-made gardens, meadows, forests, and rolling hillsides. If you ambled down every one of Central Park's pathways, you would walk 58 miles. Along the way, you pass fountains, monuments, sculptures, bridges, and arches, plus 21 playgrounds. Besides being a great place to experience a little nature, Central Park has many attractions within its borders, and most of them are free, making it one of the few cheap things to do in New York City. Some of the most popular places to visit include the Belvedere Castle, Strawberry Fields, the Central Park Zoo, and the lake. 3. Rockefeller Center and top of the Rock Observation Deck. Another Art Deco masterpiece, Rockefeller Center opened in 1933 with the aim of being a city within a city. That mission is intact today, as the space is home to NBC TV studios, acclaimed restaurants, a seasonal ice skating rink, and a world-famous Christmas tree. But the centerpiece is the 70-story 30 Rockefeller Plaza, an Art Deco skyscraper that offers awesome views over Manhattan from the famous top of the Rock Observation Deck. The deck, as it's known, includes 3 floors, located on the 67th, 69th, and 70th floors. Indoor and outdoor viewing spaces offer spectacular views by day or night. 4. Broadway and the Theater District. The heart of New York City's theater district runs along a historic stretch of Broadway that became one of the first electrically lighted streets in the United States, earning it the moniker the Great White Way. No visit to the city feels complete without experiencing at least one Broadway or off-Broadway show. Each year, about 13 million locals and tourists take in Broadway shows at one of New York City's 40 Broadway theaters. Most of those venues are located in the theater district, roughly 41st Street to 52nd Street and 6th Avenue to 8th Avenue. Each season brings a new wave of mega-musicals, plays and star-driven revivals. Some boast gold from the Tony Awards. 5. Empire State Building. The Empire State Building is one of New York's most famous landmark buildings and key tourist attractions. The 381-meter-tall, 102-story building was the tallest in the world until the One World Trade Center tower rose higher, 41 years later. Topped with a mooring mast for airships, the Empire State Building immediately became a landmark and a symbol for New York City when it opened in 1931. There are actually 2 observatories atop the Empire State Building, but both offer astounding views. On clear days, you can see up to 80 miles, looking into the neighboring states of New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Connecticut, and Massachusetts. 6. 9/11's Memorial and Museum. In the footprints of where the Twin Towers once stood are North America's largest man-made waterfalls, the bottoms of which seem to be impossible to see. The twin reflecting pools, the 9/11's Memorial designed by Michael Arad, are a solemn reminder of all that was lost during the terrorist attacks on September 11, 2001, and the World Trade Center bombing in 1993. Lining the pools, each 1 acre in size, are bronze panels with the names of the 3,000 deceased victims from the attacks, including the rescue personnel who died helping the other victims. For those who wish to pay their respects to the tragedy and learn more about the events that transpired, the museum serves as the leading collection of artifacts and documentation of September 11. Inside, visitors can hear first-hand accounts of survivors, see picture and video footage of the attacks, and see recovered objects such as wrecked recovery vehicles, large pieces of warped metal foundation, and the 30-foot national 9/11 flag. 7. The High Line. An exciting new attraction in New York City, the High Line is a former rail line that has been transformed into an urban walking trail above the city streets. This unique linear public park has been planted with a variety of plants and trees, many of which are native species. In spring, many of these come into bloom. The park is lined with glass railings in most areas, giving it a natural feel, while still offering outstanding views of the city. Although the High Line is only about 2 to 3 stories above street level, the views of the city's architecture and the lookouts over the streets offer a whole new perspective. Along the route are art installations, benches, and near the south end is a sitting area with bleacher-style seating and a glass wall looking out onto the city. The trail is heavily used, and on weekends it can be extremely busy, but without the surrounding traffic, it's still a peaceful retreat. 8. Times Square. In 1904, fueled by advertising genius and electrical currents, the first lighted billboard went live, and the phenomenon known as Times Square launched. More than a century later, the lights and action are even brighter. The very mention of this neon neighborhood causes many a New Yorker's eyes to roll, but every first-time visitor should see Times Square, especially at night. Watch the show unfold from an elevated seat on the red steps near Duffy Square. Times Square is busy and perpetually crowded, but has its own unique appeal. Bleachers set up at one end are a great place to take a break and appreciate the scene. New York's wackiest and most wonderful characters enter the stage as costume superheroes such as Batman and Lady of Liberty. When snapping Instagram-worthy shots with your favorites, be sure to offer a tip. 9. Brooklyn Bridge. When the Brooklyn Bridge was constructed in 1883, extending 1,595 feet across the East River, connecting Lower Manhattan to Brooklyn Heights, it was the longest suspension bridge in the world. Now, it's a historic staple of the New York City skyline, transporting commuter car traffic underneath and touristic foot traffic above. Standing before arches and rectangles with city skyscrapers rising in the distance will at once inspire a sense of grandiosity and slightness. Now it attracts thousands of tourists and locals who enjoy spectacular views of Lower Manhattan and other city landmarks, such as the Statue of Liberty and Governor's Island, as they stroll its more than mile-long expanse. Heads up, though, you may run into the occasional cyclist trying to navigate through the crowds on the pedestrian walkway. 10. Fifth Avenue. One of the most famous shopping streets in America, Fifth Avenue is New York's premier shopping area, where many top designers have their flagship stores. Cartier, Tiffany, Bergdorf Goodman, the famous Apple Store Fifth Avenue, and of course Saks Fifth Avenue, as well as many others line this posh avenue. Even non-shoppers can enjoy a walk along Fifth Avenue. The best area runs from approximately the south end of Central Park to the New York Public Library, or more specifically, between 60th Street and 40th Street.